Scene 3 gives us the other half of Romeo and Juliet's story. We just saw Juliet's reaction to the events of Act 3, Scene 1. Now we're going to see Romeo's side of the story. He's with Friar Lawrence. So we start with Friar Lawrence. Romeo, come forth, thou fearful man. Affliction is enamored of thy parts, and thou art wedded to calamity. So this is an important Friar Lawrence line. He talks about how he believes that Romeo is surrounded by disaster. That's what that word calamity means. Follows Romeo wherever he goes. Father, what news? What is the prince's doom? What sorrow craves acquaintance at my hand that I yet not know? So Romeo's kind of agreeing with him here, saying that what sorrow is coming for me now? Too familiar is my dear son with such sour company. I bring thee tidings of the prince's doom. What less than doomsday is the prince's doom? A gentler judgment vanished from his lips, not body's death, but body's banishment. So instead of being executed, Romeo's just going to be banished. But we'll see his reaction to that in a minute here. Ha, banishment? Be merciful, say death. For exile hath more terror in his look, much more than death. Do not say banishment. So Romeo would rather be killed than banished. Here from Verona art thou banished. Be patient, for the world is broad and wide. Again, Father Lawrence's advice. Be patient. The world is broad and wide. But Romeo says there is no world without Verona walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself. Here banished is banished from the world, and world's exile is death. Then banished is death mistermed. They're basically the same thing if you think about it. Calling death banished, thou cuttest off my head with a golden axe and smilest upon the stroke that murders me. So Romeo's having a big reaction to this. We're also kind of seeing a little bit of Romeo's immaturity. And Father doesn't understand why he is so upset and gets mad at him. O deadly sin, O rude unthankfulness, thy fault our law calls death, but the kind prince, taking thy part, hath rushed aside the law and turned that black word death to banishment. This is dear mercy, and thou seest it not. So the friar is going off on Romeo for being ungrateful. This is dear mercy, and you're not seeing it. "'Tis torture, not mercy." And the reason he says that is because heaven is here where Juliet lives. And we're going to skip over most of this. He goes on and on and on about how Juliet is perfect. Carrion flies. We got a little death reference. Foreshadowing. White wonder. Alliteration of dear Juliet's hand, and steal immortal blessings from her lips, who even in pure and vestal modesty still blush. Romeo may not, he is banished. So everybody who's here in Verona gets to see and hang out with Juliet, but not me, because I'm going to be banished. Thou fond madman, hear me a little speak. Oh, thou wilt speak again of banishment. I'll give thee armor to keep off that word, adversity's sweet milk, philosophy to comfort me, thee, though thou art banished. So Friar wants to give Romeo some advice. But Romeo's not going to listen. Yet banish it, hang up philosophy unless philosophy can make a Juliet. So unless you can give me Juliet back, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Displant a town, reverse a prince's doom. It helps not, it prevails not, talk no more. Oh, then I see that madmen have no ears. So he's calling Romeo crazy and deaf because he's not listening to him. How should they when that wise men have no eyes? Romeo responds that Friar Lawrence is blind. Figuratively, he's saying that he doesn't understand the situation. Let me dispute with thee of thy estate. Thou canst not speak of that thou dost not feel. Wert thou as young as I, Juliet thy loved, an hour but married, Tybalt murdered, doting like me, and like me banished, then that mightst thou speak. Then mightst thou tear thy hair and fall upon the ground as I do now, taking the measure of an unmade grave. So we got chock full of interesting information. Romeo says, you have nothing to say to me because you don't understand how I feel. If you were as young as I am and Juliet was your girlfriend and we were only married an hour and Tybalt was murdered and then you were banished like me, then I might listen to you. And then we have this line down here, taking the measure of an unmade grave, foreshadowing. Because we all know how this story's going to end. Arise, one knocks. Good Romeo, hide thyself. And he won't do it. Not I, unless the breath of heartsick groans, mist-like, enfold me from the search of eyes. And then we see who's at the door. It's the nurse. So we're gonna skip over a lot of this until we get to Juliet's reaction. Because remember, back in scene 2, the nurse said it was going to be her job to find Romeo. So she has. Now she's going to give him Juliet's message. She says nothing but weeps and weeps, now falls on her bed, then starts up, and Tybalt calls, and then on Romeo cries, then down falls again. So she's upset. She feels conflicted. It's her husband and her cousin. And then Romeo is, of course, upset about this news, as if that name shot from the deadly level of a gun did murder her, as if that name's cursed hand murdered her kinsman. Oh, tell me, friar, tell me, in what vile part of this anatomy doth my name lodge? Tell me that I may sack the hateful mansion. So, this is sort of a reference to Act 2, Scene 2, where Juliet wants to give up his name. And again, it's that Montague name that's causing problems again. It's as if my name murdered her, or my name murdered her kinsman. And then down here, Romeo tries to kill himself. And Friar Lawrence is stopping him. Hold thy desperate hand. Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thy art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast. Unseemly woman in a seeming man, an ill-beseeming beast in seeming both. So, come on, act like a man. You're crying like a little girl. You're acting like an animal. Blah, blah, blah. Be brave, because Juliet needs you. That Juliet is alive. Oops, not cross out. That Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but lately dead. There art thou happy. Juliet's alive. That's one thing to be grateful for. So let's make a list over here. Romeo has to be grateful for. 1, Juliet is alive. That's something to be grateful for. 2, Tybalt would kill thee, but thou slewest Tybalt. There art thou happy. Tybalt was going to kill you, so it's a good thing that he's dead. Tybalt was going to kill Romeo. The law that threatened death becomes thy friend and turns to exile. There art thou happy. 3, Romeo is banished or exiled. They're synonyms. Not killed. Things to be grateful for. But like a misbehaved and sullen wench, thou pouts thy fortune and thy love. How dare you? Take heed, for such die miserable. So, the plan is to go to Juliet's house. Blah, blah, blah. Get thee to thy love, as it was decreed, ascend her chamber. We're going to go to Juliet's house, say goodbye. And then this is the princess, not the princess, this is Friar Lawrence's plan. For then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where thou shalt live till we find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 1,000 times more joy than thou wentst forth in lamentation. So, the plan. Romeo is going to leave Verona, and he's going to exile himself in another town called Mantua. Until everything here settles down. Then Romeo will come back. Ask the prince for forgiveness. And go public with his marriage to Juliet. So it's a pretty good plan, right? I mean, all you have to do is be patient. But is that something that Romeo has? Patience? I don't know. And they're happy about this. How well my comfort is revived by this. It's a good plan, Friar. I think it's going to work out great. And Friar Lawrence agrees. Go hence, good night, and here stands all your state. Either be gone before the watch be set, or by break of day, disguised from hence, sojourn to Mantua. I'll find out your man, and he shall signify from time to time every good hap to you that chances here. Give me thy hand, 'tis late, farewell, good night. So, one of Romeo's friends is going to pass messages back and forth. While he is exiled. But that a joy past joy calls out on me. It were a grief so brief to part with thee. Farewell. And that's where we leave off with Act 3, Scene 3. Friar Lawrence has a good plan. All Romeo has to do is to be patient. We'll see if it works out for them.